Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind Orlando. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week, my friends and I talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
They have this idea that if you can make it in Silicon Valley, your world is going to be perfect.
The slow bird is probably the most joyous and complaints that I get. It's in tandem together, and I understand it because I'm also shoving their heads together, but the characters don't listen.
Millennials and Gen Z are more sensitive to food categories that have been recalled.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind Orlando.
September is Food Safety Month, and a new survey shows that while people are concerned about recalls, most believe they're an important tool to help keep us safe. Here to explain what the findings mean is Melanie News Hilton, Senior Vice President of Customer Success at GS1 US. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Chris.
What are the main reasons a food gets recalled, and how is technology helping us respond faster?
There are really kind of four key themes behind food recalls, ranging from undeclared allergens, very common with health and wellness concerns by consumers, contamination from bacteria, that's probably the one we hear most often about in the media, or also foreign objects that can get introduced to a food or its packaging during processing. And last but not least, label inaccuracies, which can mislead consumers about ingredients or usage. What's interesting about how technology is working to help is that we are implementing things like traceability throughout the food supply chain. That's been going on for several decades, but also the use of the UPC barcode, which has been on products for nearly 50 years, helps to identify affected product and then allow us to improve and expedite the way that recalls are facilitated.
Are certain items more at risk for recalls, and what can shoppers do if they are unsure about a product?
Yes, if you shop the perimeter of the store, the deli, the bakery, produce, dairy, those are often foods that are subject to recall. Leafy greens, cut produce, both fruit and vegetables, and eggs and shellfish are probably the ones we're most familiar with being recalled. But what consumers can do is inform themselves. Both the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, as well as the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, provide alert systems to consumers. They can go to foodsafety.gov and subscribe to those alerts and keep themselves proactively notified as things are constantly evolving in the food supply chain.
What did your survey show about how consumers change their habits after a recall?
What was really interesting about the survey, Chris, is that it demonstrated a strong aversion to foods that have been previously recalled. So we saw in the survey data that about 60% of consumers will avoid an entire food category after a food recall. And you can think about how we've been plagued by various leafy green recalls over the past 20 years. And you've got close to 2/3 of consumers saying that they're avoiding those foods after a recall. We also saw some generational nuances that suggest that millennials and Gen Z are more sensitive to food categories that have been recalled, as in would avoid buying those in the future, around 65% of millennials and 64% of Gen Z. But last but not least, the one that I found most interesting is that 57% of consumers have discarded food they had when a recall takes place, even if their state or region is not affected. So we know that consumers take recalls very seriously, and we know that a lack of information can lead to increased food waste, which is why it's so important for us to triangulate food recalls and share that information with consumers.
Why should we see food recalls as a positive step in food safety?
Well, I think that food recalls demonstrate a highly transparent supply chain. So first of all, there is great interest in protecting public health and sharing more information. I think we always like to say more communication is better than less. We're also seeing stepped up regulation coming from the US FDA. Food Safety Modernization Act Rule 204, which is scheduled to go into effect in 2028, is actually going to require increased critical information as foods move through the supply chain to be shared among the trading partners who are moving products from farm to store and also with consumers. And that's really what GS1 US is focused on, is providing a platform for standards and collaboration to assist in that improved transparency and clarity for consumers as they make decisions about their food.
And if someone wants more information, where can they find it?
If you want more, please go to gs1us.org/food recall. You'll find a wealth of resources. And as also mentioned, you can sign up for recall alerts from the federal government.
Melanie, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Do you ever wish your workplace felt more like a fairy tale or maybe a villain's lair? Millions of readers have fallen in love with a TikTok series that turned into a best-selling book phenomenon. The latest chapter, Accomplice to the Villain, is already topping the New York Times list. So joining us is author Hannah Nicole Maehrer, whose mix of magic, romance, and humor has made her one of today's most exciting voices in romanticy. Is that really a word? Welcome to the show, Hannah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing my best, but I guess I'm still here. Your book started as a fun TikTok series of skits. How did these short videos grow into like a best-selling book series?
Oh my gosh, I think the idea was born on TikTok. So with each video that I posted, the story kind of started to develop itself. These characters started to feel like real and tangible to me. And it became such a exciting idea in my head that I couldn't stand it just sitting in my mind anymore. So I had to sit down to write it. It was probably the most words I've ever written in one sitting. It was like 10,000 words because I'd been waiting to write it. It like spilled out of me. I've never been able to repeat that word count in one sitting. I would love to. I've never seen that girl again. But yeah, that's how it kind of born into a TikTok series to book. And I got to document it all on TikTok.
Fans describe Accomplice to the Villain as Once Upon a Time meets The Office. What inspired you to like blend fantasy with like one of these workplace comedies?
I think it was a lot of the things I consumed growing up. I was a huge fan of Shrek. I loved The Princess Bride, Ella Enchanted, Stardust, like very quirky, fun fairy tales that kind of flip around the story a little bit, but add like a whole bunch of whimsy. And that's what I grew up consuming, and that's all of my favorite stories. So writing a book that kind of incorporates all of those things while also incorporating villains, which is my other favorite thing, was kind of, I think, just a quick pipeline from everything that I consumed as a child to now.
Evie and the villain have such a unique dynamic. What can readers expect from their relationship in this latest book?
Same push pill, slow burn romance that we've always had, but obviously with each book, the tension gets amped up because, you know, we're progressing slowly but surely. The slow burn is probably the most joyous and complaints that I get. It's the tandem together, and I understand it because I'm also shoving their heads together, but the characters don't listen to me. So I'm just kind of babysitting them at this point.
You're like, please kiss, kiss. Okay, I can see that imagery already. You've built a huge community online. How does that instant feedback from the fans help shape your writing?
Oh my gosh, I think it was such a huge motivator when I was writing the book. And I realized how rare that is when you're sitting and writing a book. It's usually such an isolating experience because it's just you and your computer. But with this experience, it was me and my computer. But every time I wrote an excerpt I was really excited about, I would go and I would share it with the audience that had been following along with the TikTok skits and also loved the characters just as much as I do. So it's a really unique experience, but it was definitely motivating while in the writing journey to hear people say, I can't wait to read your book. Hearing that in and of itself was a wild thing. It still is a wild thing to me. So it's amazing.
And since fandom is so deep on this, is there like an issue managing expectations when writing the next chapter? Because sometimes fans take it over and kind of adopt it as their own, and they kind of get upset when things aren't changing. Is that something there?
I encourage people to do that, I think, because this story isn't just mine. It's for everybody that needs it, and everybody that wants to be a part of it is welcome to be a part of it. So I encourage that. I actually think it's really important. But when I go in to write, I don't think about anything else but the characters. I kind of have tunnel vision. So I don't worry about expectations. I don't worry about disappointing anybody, because the only thing I'm focused on is making sure I'm doing the right thing for the characters and the right thing for the story. And as long as I'm doing that, that's the compass I follow. I think you can't go wrong, because you can't please everybody. So if you try to go that route, you're going to fail every single time. So always stick true to what's true for you.
Hannah, thank you for joining me. Accomplice to the Villain is out now wherever books are sold, and the hardcover special edition of Assistant of the Villain arrives September 16th. So don't miss your chance to dive into this magical, laugh out loud world. Thanks for being here, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely chatting with you.
Ever wonder what the secrets lie behind Silicon Valley's billionaire dreams? Sometimes ambition and power can take a dark turn. The new true crime series, The Tech Bro Murders, is now airing on ID, uncovering some shocking cases from the heart of the tech world. So joining us is retired Palo Alto police detective Sandra Brown, who brings decades of firsthand experience to some of these investigations. Welcome to the show, Sandra. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Dan, calm down on the decades now. Okay, you're aging.
Hey, I'm just trying. I know you've been doing things for a very long time, and you have a new series out, which is kind of exciting. What drew you to be part of the Tech Bro Murders?
I would tell you, I worked for the city of Palo Alto, which is the gateway to Silicon Valley early on back in the 70s and the 80s. Remember, that's where Hewlett-Packard started, a lot of these companies. And even today, the icons of Silicon Valley, Google and Facebook, they live in the city when their compounds and their protection and their security guards, Apple, all that stuff, the people live there in Palo Alto. And so I worked a case back in 1998 that we got contacted by a production company if we really wanted to talk about it. And I was like, yes, I want to talk about this case. And so we produced a series, a 3-episode series called The Tetris Murders that came out in December 5th, 2022. After that was done, it was such a success. People were so interested in it. And if you remember the Tetris game, came out. So when we finished that, I got a call from the production company and asked me, would you want to do some more? And I'm like, no, I'm retired. I'm not doing anything. So sure. So we finished at the beginning of this year, 6 episodes called the Tech Bro Murders. Now, the term Tech Bro goes way back to the beginning of those icons that started the tech boom in Silicon Valley in California, right? These people are multimillionaires. Some of them are still there. Some of them made it. Some of them didn't. And that's probably where people need to understand. They have this idea that if you can make it in Silicon Valley, your world is going to be perfect. This series lets you know that the grass is not greener on the other side. And so it really brings 6 cases where these people were involved in tech. They made money, they were doing well, but sometimes their lives ended. Sometimes people were killed. And, I think armchair detectives who are sitting at home are going to enjoy this series.
Sandra, you're not supposed to be working when you're retired.
Let me tell you, this is my 3rd career. I worked 30 years in law enforcement. I also did 15 years in working with law enforcement on implicit bias. And then this is my 3rd career. And it fell into my lap, and it's awesome and I love it. But it's very interesting. And again, I don't want people to think that this is all grand and wonderful. People lost their lives. And I've met family members and I've met friends of the people who are no longer with us. And in one of our cases, the 3rd case, Janine Harms, she's still missing. Her body is still missing. And I have my own ideas about that case, but people lost their lives. And I think it's important that we put that out, that Silicon Valley looks good on paper, but in reality, when you talk about greed and you talk about ambition, you talk about power and you talk about wealth, sometimes it's not always for the best. And a lot of people want to achieve that, but really sometimes people lose their lives.
Is that one of the biggest takeaways that you want people to take from this series? It's not just about the crimes, but some of the people and even the culture behind them?
I think what I want people to understand, when typically over the last 30, 40 years, when we're watching the crime shows, we kind of focused a lot on lower socioeconomic communities, the drugs, the motorcycle gangs, the gangbangers, the crack, the cocaine, all these negative things. And so it builds this stereotype that that's where the murders occur. So then when people look at Silicon Valley, they go, oh, it's so nice. And I want to be there and I want to make a lot of money. I want to be a billionaire. But crime still occurs there. I worked for Palo Alto. People didn't lock their doors sometimes because they felt safe. The reality is crime doesn't have a zip code. It can happen in some of the wealthiest communities, and they will see that in all 6 of these episodes, that crime occurs in some of those highfalutin communities. The grass is not greener on the other side. We still have to take care of ourselves and take care of our families. I think people will enjoy it, though.
Sandra Brown, you are a wealth of knowledge. I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You can catch the Tech Bro Murders Tuesdays at 10 Eastern, 9 Central on ID with new episodes every week. And also you can check out episodes as they stream anytime after on HBO Max. Thanks, Sandra, for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
What happens when a working mom becomes the most powerful woman in her state and still can't get her family to listen? Tyler Perry's She the People is the Netflix comedy about a newly elected lieutenant governor juggling politics, a chaotic household, and a boss who still thinks it's the 1950s. So today we're joined by Terry J. Vaughn and Jo Marie Payton, who brings the laughs and the family drama in this bold and funny new series. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Thank you. We are fantastic. That was the perfect description of our show. Thank you.
Thank you. For those that are just like hearing about the show, how would you describe She the People in your own words?
Oh my God. Well, you did that so well. Yes, Antoinette, my character Antoinette Dunkerson, becomes the first Black lieutenant governor in the great state of Mississippi, and we watch her navigate that path with a governor in place that does seem like he's stuck in the 1950s. That was perfect. Also, she's balancing that career path while at the same time juggling her home and family life with a very colorful family, a very nosy and bold speaking family. So navigating those and raising two teenage kids in the world of social media, co-parenting with an ex-husband, and dealing with a very, very nosy mom is set for fun. Set for fun.
But listen. We're proud of her now. I'm proud of her as a daughter, and they're happy about their mothers in their position. But we still want to do our thing. You know what I'm saying? I still want to go to the casino. I want to be with my friends. We'll go fishing. I'm retired. I want to have a good time. I don't want everybody all down my back asking her where your mama going now. Who is she with? 'Cause I still like my boyfriends. And then her children, they still want to be with those phones and stuff and all. They don't want to tap in their phones with their conversations. Listen, we got business to take care of. We got stuff to do. But we're also not ignoring that we got issues in this world.
Jo Marie, you play Cleo, Antoinette's mother, and she's got her opinion. So what do you love about playing her?
What I learned about playing her?
What do you love?
That is a lot like me, Jo Marie. And everything, but she's more me. I love the fact that I love the fact we're on Netflix too. I have that kind of freedom to really be me, you know, and to deal with all these different things, with family life and politics, and although she says, I don't like politics, she doesn't like the BS of politics, but yeah, she loved to get into the mix. Come on now. But, so that's what I'm loving about this character. And hoping that you love it too, so I can bring things to you to make you feel better about you, and that you wake up that next morning seeing you and feeling better about everything that life has to offer because you saw you and you made you better.
And the show touches on like real issues, like and also is extremely funny, keeping laughs going. What is the balance between comedy and reality and bringing those together on set?
I think the funny is based in reality. Like all the storytelling is totally relatable topics, things that we are seeing, stories ripped from the headlines. So it is very grounded in reality, but we laugh. Like my favorite thing in the world to do is laugh. I believe that laughter is healing. Even in, just dramatic situations, sometimes you just got to step back and you just got to laugh at the ridiculousness that we are living in, that we have to navigate through. And so we wanted to create this show to be able to address real life issues that we are dealing with, but give it to you in a digestible way where you can laugh, but also you can think and maybe start some conversations around the issues and around the things that we present.
It's just like an example I can give you because I don't want to use all your time. And I'm real concerned about children not having breakfast in the morning, having food to eat when they go to school and all, because I'm one of 9 and we went through that. And also, but the funny in it for me would be if they did take the program out of school or wherever, like they have son, that I say, something, I saw a little Peavy and he was hungry. Tell that boy to stop by my house before we go to school so I can give him something to eat. And then I may start a protest. We don't know. The show has so many veins to it. Yeah. And because we have so many issues and so many things that we want to fix and make right and make you feel good that you helped us make it right. Until the funny is going to come out of that. That you might pass our house and see me outside with the barbecue grill, big one there, with pots on there, and I'm slinging grits. Say, come on here, boy, and get something to eat before you go to school or whatever. That brings out to the fact that it's important
Yeah.
That's an important thing. It's important that teachers ain't got enough, because I see Sally and Walmart.
she gets all riled up,
Walmart,
right?
she ain't got what she needs. Girl, come over here. Get some more paper. So when you get some more things, so you go to school. We have to address their health. I go to CVS. I'm going to say it. And I got to go pick up my medicine. Why I got to pay for this? How about y'all want me to die, right? It's something funny about that, but it's real. That's real. That's real.
You got it?
I got you. All right, Terry, Joe Marie, thanks for joining me this morning. Don't miss the Laugh Out Loud comedy that happens when politics and family pretty much go head-to-head under one roof. It's available now on Netflix. She the People. Check it out. Thank you, two, for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. We love you.
Thank you so much.
Grief, friendship, and a little dark humor. My Dead Friend Zoe brings it all together in a story about a veteran navigating life with her best friend, who just, happens to be a ghost. Sonequa Martin-Green stars as Merritt, a U.S. Army veteran facing family struggles, personal loss, and the ever-present Zoe. The movie's already in theaters, and Sonequa joins me right now. Welcome to the show, Sonequa. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
All right. This film walks like a fine line between drama, dark comedy. Like, how did you approach playing Merritt, someone that's like dealing with grief in such a really unconventional way?
Oh, well, thank you for calling it unconventional. It's a lot of a lot of how I dealt with it, and the carrying of the role and the carrying of the weight of the role was because I was seeking to do justice to Kyle Houseman Stokes, because this is his story. Our director, who also wrote this, AJ Bermudez, helped write as well, but this is his story, 93% as it happened. And so from the very beginning, I knew that I needed to do this justice. And this is a veteran story. It is about PTSD, survivor's remorse and shame and guilt, and acclimating to life after war. But it's also for anybody, whether you served or not, who's dealing with these things, because so many of us are. So many are walking around with this kind of pain. So I think that in order for all of that to land, and in order for the prevailing theme of the film to come across, which is talk about it before you make a rash decision, talk about it, I think we need the humor to really like round it out. And so Natalie Morales, she offers that buoyancy that the film needs. And I mean, she's mainly the reason why, it's a dark comedy. Kyle wrote a really brilliantly balanced script. And it was wonderful to be able to bring it to life with her. And sort of, I represent the gravity, she represented the levity.
She's hilarious.
Yes.
Just absolutely hilarious. How did you go about like that? I don't want to. I'm spoiling it. All right. She's Tyler Durden, basically a Fight Club the entire time. How do you go about telling the story from that perspective, that you are in some scenes being yourself, communicating with some of the characters that are around you, and then also on the same level communicating with her, and also as everybody around you is staring at you like, this person's crazy, this person's off your rocker? How do you play that fine line as a character? Because that must have been one hell of a hard role to do, to be able to like play two conversations at once while you're the only one that's in both of them at the same time.
That's a really great question. Thank you for asking. I think that there was obviously there's a totality of thoughts and experiences that fed into Merritt, right? And that fed into Kyle. Merritt as Kyle as Merritt, right? Me as Merritt, bringing Kyle's life to the light. I think that what made it I won't say easy, but what made it doable for me was knowing that this is the way this woman lives. This woman lives with this constant this constant presence of the guilt and the shame and the survivor's remorse. And something that Natalie Morales says a lot is she likes to call Zoe a guilt demon, right? Because she isn't a ghost. It isn't the actual Zoe. It's a manifestation of her, and she's grown to this level of personification because of the harping on it, because this is something that is growing and toxifying and fermenting in Merritt's heart and in her mind. So it's almost like growing and swelling to the point where it's going to take over her life. And we see that it sort of has, right? And so it was interesting because knowing that she's always on my mind, that was how every moment was played. She's here. She's always here. I am so guilty. I feel so much shame. I have such deep survivor's remorse. All I want to do is go back and change the past, but I can't. And I'm stuck in this loop of pain because of it.
Sonequa Martin-Green, thanks for joining me this morning. My Dead Friend Zoe is now playing in theaters, so if you haven't seen it yet, this is the perfect time to go check it out. To find showtimes, to learn more, go to mydeadfriendzoemovie.com. Sonequa, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Our next guest is unique. What do you get when you mix couture chaos, murder in paradise, and a comeback wedding with secrets that could pretty much kill? It's Another Simple Favor. It's the long-awaited sequel that reunites Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively for another round of sharp wit, killer fashion, and even deadlier twists, this time in Capri. Joining the cast is Tony winner Alex Newell, who plays Vicky, Stephanie's fierce and fabulous book agent. Welcome to the show, Alex. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
This sequel, it brings back a lot of wild energy from the original, but now we're in Capri with even more secrets and high fashion. What's it like stepping into the deliciously chaotic world?
Amazing. And I get to be in Capri. Who doesn't want that? And oh God, that backdrop is gorgeous.
Your character, Vicky, is Stephanie's book agent. Can you tell us a little bit more about them and what kind of dynamic they bring into the mix?
Chaos in the fun way. I think Vicky is somebody that everybody wants to be on vacation, and she's on a work vacation at that. So she's just trying to get a good book deal out of Miss Stephanie Smothers.
From Shucked on Broadway to a Paul Feig thriller in Italy, you've been booked and busy. What drew you to Another Simple Favor, and how did it feel to collaborate with this ensemble?
When my agent texted me and said, "Hey, do you want your White Lotus moment?" I was like, absolutely. And she said, well, Paul is directing the sequel of A Simple Favor and wants you to come on out to Capri and play this role. And I was so honored because I'd worked with Paul on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist before. And so to come back and be actually directed by him and work with this incredible ensemble was just a dream come true. Everybody was so lovely.
And the movie blends comedy, mystery, and a little bit of glam, sometimes all pretty much in the same scene. What was your favorite moment in the film, or one that you think that you will always remember?
Oh my goodness. My favorite moment from the film that I think that entrance to Capri, the boat ride into it. I think that was just breathtakingly beautiful, just riding in onto it. Ugh.
And between the twists, the couture, and the cast, chemistry, what do you think will surprise audiences the most this time around?
The chaos. I mean, there is so much happening that you don't get a break from it. I think that's what they'll really take from it, but also kind of like what friendship is. I think we all have that frenemy and that friend that we all like to jab at and talk to, but we love them regardless.
Alex, thanks for joining me this morning. You should check out Another Simple Favor. It's available now on Amazon Prime. And that's it for Rise Unwind Orlando. Want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website, riseunwindtv.com. Follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. And also follow our YouTube channel. That's at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.